Let me ask you a question. What are you lacking in your life? I bet a lot of people have an answer to that. Maybe you have a few yourself. Hold on to that because we will return to it. I used to think my life lacked in a lot of ways. Maybe I wasn't cool enough to be liked, so I became a people pleaser. Maybe I lacked income to enjoy the finer things in life, so I worked to go on adventures. But I was still deeply sad. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I took care of myself, bought plenty of stuff, and met plenty of people. So why wasn't I okay? And one day, it clicked. This life I lived was not for me. I was performing, acting to fit in with everyone else. And it didn't take long to notice that everyone was performing just as I was. Around person A, they're one way, and then around person B, they're another. I never really understood the character Shirley from Code Geass until I realized this about people in general. Shirley finds out that Lelouch is lying about who he is to everyone and wants to expose him, but is also conflicted because she wonders if Suzaku already knows who he is and is also protecting or helping him complete his goals. I don't want to spoil much because Code Geass has impacted me greatly and I cannot recommend it enough. But I bring this up to point out one clear thing. The recognition of both of their behavior, the way they lie to each other and everyone so easily, shakes her to her core and makes her wonder, why are most people acting? Now that's a good question. My answer? Attachment theory. Attachment theory focuses on our needs to form bonds with people, loved ones, friends, relationships. More specifically, you are attached to someone when you're emotionally connected to them. This is why it hurts when people leave our lives. But what happens when someone has an attachment to an idea of one's own image? This is called our ego. Ego is defined as a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. It is your self-worth. And your self-worth is built on a lot of aspects of you. Your experiences, who you surround yourself with, the things you enjoy and things you dislike, your competence in any given field, just to name a few. This is why it feels good having a skill. It's confidence in your own ability. This is all part of your ego. Great. I'm learning about ego, but what does this have to do with what I'm lacking? Everything. The ego is fundamentally who we are. Well, no. Let me correct that. The ego is not who we are. It's what we see ourselves as. One night, a friend and I shared a long conversation. She told me about how her father never approved of her choices. He constantly compared her to her brother, stating how he was smarter, a harder worker, and more successful. So she pushed herself endlessly to close the gap. I asked her, "Why do you think you feel depressed these days?" She replied, "It's because I'm not successful enough. Once I get this job I've been preparing for, I can finally shut my father's mouth because he can't compare me to my brother anymore." I asked her, "What happens if he never admits that?" She thought to herself for a moment. "I don't know. I guess I wasted my life chasing something to make him respect me. Or maybe he would be too chicken shit to admit he was wrong." So then I asked, "What happens if he does?" "Congrats, my daughter. You work a job I respect, and you are now successful." What then? She looked at me in that moment and laughed. He would never. He's just too proud. He couldn't admit that I finally did something he couldn't belittle. I looked at her and asked one last time, "And what then?" She looked down and said, "I don't know." The way she sees herself was defined by someone else, making her want things that she never even cared about. But you know what she did care about? His approval. All of us want to be accepted. So we don masks to become what people want us to be, because if we are that person, then maybe, finally maybe, we suppress who we are to chase some self-image set by someone else. We suppress what it means to be us in the first place. Think about it like this. The human soul is a big expansive forest that flourishes and grows, but our ego is the human terraforming that cuts down the wildlife, digs up the earth, and builds an infrastructure onto the once green land that we found so beautiful. Imagine doing that for so long that you don't even remember what it's like to express your own interests anymore. Instead, every choice you make is a calculated move to appeal to an unseen eye watching over you called social approval. And as a result, we are left hollow. Today will be the first day of your journey back to who you are. For a long time we have been suffering. We suffer when we think we are not enough. that if we were funny or attractive enough, everyone would like us. Thus, we would be happy. This suffering is addressed in Buddhist philosophy. It defines suffering as the craving of pleasure, that which comes from the external validation of admiration from others. So how do you deal with this suffering? The reason you're unhappy with who you are is because your ego tells you you're supposed to be someone else, when really, that person in the reflection is who you are. You have to let go of your attachment to this idea that you are not enough, that you are missing something. Our self-image is a powerful controller over our lives. We get trapped in a cage waiting for someone to free us. We look externally, chasing every desire, hoping to find a solution to why we aren't happy. We look under every rock for a key, hoping that there's an answer out there. Maybe it's the approval of that certain person you like, or maybe it's that illustrious job that you have been preparing for. Maybe it's to finally hear the words, those much needed words, "I'm proud of you." It's time to open your eyes. You held the key to your cage the entire time. What are you lacking in your life? You lack self-acceptance. It's time to stop looking for an answer that has been in front of you the whole time. It's time to wake up.